Okay. So I'm going to flip back and forth between this PowerPoint and I have a test ESS instance up of OME-RESA's live file so that we can see things because some of the pictures in this PowerPoint aren't real clear. So I'm going to jump onto a test instance and show you exactly what they were talking about so you can see it maybe a little bit better. So the very first page is leave request related tips. And what they wanted to cover in this portion was that the leave balances can look differently in different places in ESS. And that's kind of based on if you have anything that's out there that is not fully approved yet. So I'm going to show you the different places that they look different and why. So let's jump into the test instance. And I'm going to use myself as an example. So we're going to go to leave information, and this is my leave balances. And as you can see on my sick leave, I have 209.25. So if we now go to leave requests and my requests, and we filter on sick, so you can see just my sick leave, you'll see right here on this column, you'll see one that's approved. Anything that is approved but not exported, that is going to be a balance that's not going to show in that very first screen, that 209.25. So you see there's one. So if I go to create a leave request and I pick sick, the system will take it off for me and say 208. Payroll doesn't know about that one that's approved but not exported. And ESS is not going to subtract that off till it's fully approved and exported. But when you go to enter a new leave, the system takes that into consideration and subtracts it off. So if an employee is unsure of what their balance is, when they go to put that leave in, this total right here should be the most accurate total that they have. So they do have the ability to see that and know what the most current balance is. So that's what this first screen is showing you. So now let's jump back to the PowerPoint. A couple of these pages, I'm not going to read everything for you. I'm just going to kind of brush over them, but I thought I left these in here because I thought it was really good information. Leave request related tips. Who can create a leave request in ESS? It gives you the role and how is it on their own that they can do it, and in the menu option. So again, I'm going to leave these in here. I'm not going to go over every one of them, but these are people that can create a leave request. On the next page, who can edit a leave request. And then it gives you the role, the ESS menu options, and reject status, approve status, all of that. And hopefully this helps you if you're trying to figure out if an employee may be out for an extended leave of time and someone needs to put in those leaves for them. These charts can help you. Okay, well, who can do that for that employee? Who can approve and reject a leave request? And who can cancel one? Then the export. Okay, then we're going to jump onto leave request related tips. Reasons why a supervisor might not be able to see or approve a leave request. So we're going to show you different places you can check if there's a supervisor who says, hey, I'm not getting my employees' leaves. What's wrong? First of all, you want to ensure that the supervisor is listed under the user's position in USPS. So that's under the position screen. We're not going to jump into there because I think we're all probably familiar with that screen. The second step is ensure that the group is set up correctly for the supervisor. So let's jump to my, oops, sorry, wrong one, guys. Let's jump to my test instance. So we're going to go to users, and then we're going to go to groups. So if I pick a group, and I'm going to pick the fiscal services, you want to make sure you see in that group if that approver is the high school principal and he's supposed to be approving leaves for the high school. You want to go to that high school group and you want to make sure you see that person's name with their approver status. If you don't see that, that could be one of the reasons why they're not seeing the leaves. That's one of the first places you want to check. Then you want to make sure that that approver has the right roles to approve. So you can obviously see that I have the approver role here. But if you're not sure, if you go to the users, and I'm going to pull myself up, if you eyeball it, right here tells you their roles, what all they have the ability to do in ESS. Okay, and you want to make sure they have the leave request approver role or the supervisor, the leave supervisor role. That could be another reason that they're not seeing the leaves so that they can approve them. If those things don't help you, then obviously you want to contact us. But those are the first places you want to spot check. Most of the time that will cure the problem. Then we're going to jump back to the PowerPoint, and I'm sorry for jumping all these places. Okay, leave request related tips. How can you determine which group chain a leave request is associated with? I'll be real honest with you. I don't like how you have to look through these things to find that answer. It says on that very next line, ESS currently doesn't have a specific report that provides you a workflow chart. I'm hoping that comes along sooner than later, because if we had something like that, you would be able to see this a lot easier. So you have to do a lot of looking and digging to see which group chain the leave request is associated with. So there's a few things here I'll show you, but again, I don't feel that this is the best way to go about it. So hopefully SSDT is going to develop that report. And what you can do is, if I go to leave requests, then I'm going to go to my leave requests. And if I click the eyeball on one of them, and I go to the third tab over, you're going to see the chain that my leave requests are in, fiscal coordinator. Okay, so that's one way to locate what chain an employee's leave requests are flowing to. But the only problem with that is I can't tell who's all in that chain left to approve. So I'm going to show you another step, but again, it doesn't give you the full picture. If you would go to users and then group, and then if you eyeball that, okay, it tells you again who's there to approve, but it doesn't tell you everybody and anybody that's left to approve. I approve everybody in the fiscal department, but after it leaves the fiscal department, it then goes to Adam Truex, our director, and he approves everything as the final approver. This doesn't show who's all left to approve. It only shows who's there to approve in the fiscal department. I would like to see something that shows you, okay, here's the group chain, here's the approver for that, here is where it flows next, here's the approver for that. So it's all together in one report. So hopefully they come out with that. So you have to do a little more digging to find out who's all associated in that group chain, who the approvers are. But that's some little tips on where you can go to look for those types of things. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. Leave request tips. If a leave request in ESS has already been exported and posted to USPS, can it be backed out? Yes, and here are the steps that the SSDT provided on how you can back out that leave request. It cannot, when you do these steps, it will not revert it back in USPS. You have to manually go to USPS and automatically back that out yourself. So what you can do is in USPS, you can delete the absence record or you can create a negative accumulation. In my opinion, I think a negative accumulation is a little bit better because it's showing the history that it was entered, then it was reversed. And you can put a description. If you delete it, it's gone. And if something comes about later, you may not remember that you deleted it. So my suggestion is a negative accumulation with a description of what happened. In ESS, then you're going to navigate to the export leave history and locate the appropriate export run and click the revert button. And then you're going to find that leave, that's a specific employee, and I'm going to show this to you in the demo. And you're going to click that box so their status will change from exported to approved. Then once that leave for that employee says approved and not exported, then you can go back in and cancel that request. So let's take a look at how that goes. So we're going to go to leave management and then export leave history. And these are all the export files that Melissa Crosley has done in the past for past payrolls. So you're going to need to find the export that that leave falls under. And right here's the revert button. So you're going to, my initial thought was, I don't want to revert all of the leaves. I only have one in there that I want to revert, but it gives you that option. So then you can click whichever person it is and go down here to remove export status. Once you do that, then that leave will then be in the approved status and you or that employee can cancel that leave. Those are the proper steps that you would want to take to reverse that. Okay, let's move on in the PowerPoint. And here's some more tips that I'm not going to read through, but may be helpful. These are all in regards to leave calendars. Leave calendars and who should see which leave calendar, what it shows, and some examples of who may be the best person for that leave calendar. The very first one, the examples for building secretary. Building secretaries probably will want leave calendar by building so they can see everybody within their building and the leaves associated with that. But here's some examples of that. And again, I'm not going to read through all of those, but I left them in here because sometimes you're not sure who to give what role to. These kind of help. Group chain related tips. This is how you're going to see the employees in that chain. So for instance, you have an employee in a building and they're not flowing to the proper supervisor. So you want to see, are they in the chain that they're supposed to be in? So what you want to do is click on let's see here. You want to go to group chains. And when you click on the group change, this little column right here that looks like there's two people standing there, if you click on that, it will tell you every employee that falls in that group chain. So if you have somebody in the high school who's not, their flow's not going to the right place, if you click on those little people right there at the high school chain, if they're not showing, then there's something wrong with the way they're flowing. But that will key you into who's all flowing into that chain. One thing I will tell you too, this is how we have it set up, and you can set it up a couple different ways depending on how you want to see it. If you go down to Systems and Configuration and Job Status Configuration, we have it set up to only show the active people in ESS. If I would click inactive, and then I would go back and click on those people's heads right there in that chain, it would show anybody who had worked in the fiscal office in the past that is no longer here, and we have them marked inactive in ESS. So all dependent on what you see is dependent on what your configuration has marked. So and you can change that if you want to include or exclude. Next on the PowerPoint, group chain related tips. I'm going to go over first deleted versus disabled, because you can do both for employees in ESS. The SSDT suggests you disable them, but you do have the ability to delete them. So I'm going to go over the two different ways you can do that and why it's probably a better choice to just disable them. So the first part of this is the correct way if an employee is no longer with your district and they're in their ESS count, you want to disable or delete it. The first portion is how you should do it if you're going to disable them and the way that is recommended. Then we're dropped down to the second section is if you delete them, but then you need to get them back in. So let's start with, I'm going to go to users. Where are we at? Users. And I'm going to just use myself as an example. This is how you delete a user. Right there. It'll give you the option to do it. I'm not going to, but I just want to show you. That will delete the user out of ESS. Now, if you want to disable them, you'd hit the edit and uncheck this box and hit save. So both ways are easy enough to do. Again, the SSDT recommends you disable them. However, if the ESS user is no longer an employee and the ESS account is disabled and they're still appearing in a group chain and you want them removed, what would be go to USPS and archive or inactivate their position. Remember though, if you archive an employee in payroll and if they haven't been through the full calendar year, their totals won't appear on your quarterly reports. So my suggestion for that would be to inactivate them. Then you can go into ESS, sync the positions, or you can wait for the sync to happen overnight, disable the account, and then you can confirm that they're no longer in the group chain. However, if you delete them, now we're down in the second section. Again, you want to do the same thing in payroll. Then you're going to have to re-add them in ESS, sync the positions, and then confirm they're no longer in the group chain anymore and disable the account. So again, you're going to have to re-add a user if you delete them and they're still falling in this group chain. So I think it's still, again, a better way just to disable them. So I asked the SSDT, if an employee is deleted and they come back, can you undelete that employee? No, you cannot undelete them. You have to re-add them back into ESS. Once you do that, all of their W-2s and pay slips will reappear associated with that employee. But you're causing yourself a little bit of extra work by doing that when you could just disable them and then it's a check mark to bring them back. Okay. Another related tip, there are a couple reasons why changes will affect your group chains. And they listed two here, and we're going to kind of cover them real quickly. Editing a group chain or rearranging the priority on the group chain is the first reason that could cause a problem affecting the group chains, or a supervisor update. So if you edit the group chain or rearrange the priority sequence, first of all, I want to let you know, once you do that, it does create an audit trail. Okay. It will say that something's been canceled and resubmitted, and there's a date and time stamp of when that was edited, which is a good thing. So you know, if somebody changed something, you have a way to find that. If you change the group chain or the priority sequence, a leave request will be resubmitted and go through the workflow for you. So you don't have to worry about having to reinitiate that leave for that employee. It will automatically do that for you. But I do want to show you real quick where you can see that audit trail. So if you go to leave requests, how come I'm having a hard time seeing all these? That's going to help me. Leave requests. If I click on the eye and I go over to the third tab, this will show you an audit trail. And I don't have anything right now that has been changed, but this is where you would see any kind of audit trail if something had been changed. So if something doesn't look right and you're wondering if somebody changed something, this audit trail is a good place to check. Now, let's move on to the other scenario of if the supervisor is updated, how that's going to affect your group chain. And this is something that we learned while we were there, and I did not realize you could do this. And so I'm going to give you the pros and cons to it. There's two ways you can enter who the supervisor is or the approver is for the group chain. You can actually use their name, their ESS username, or you can just use the plain role of supervisor. So let me show you that first before we go into the explanation of these. Okay, so if you go to users, groups, and if I go down here, as you can see, I'm the approver and I'm using my ESS username. The other option is to go down here and just pick supervisor. If you do that, it will then look in USPS and see who the supervisor is and automatically send it to them. So my initial thought was, why wouldn't we all just be using supervisor? That way, if somebody changes positions that's a supervisor, you don't have to go in and change their name. You can, it's going to just pick it up in USPS. Well, there's a couple reasons. So let's start back at the PowerPoint again on if you're using your ESS username, okay? And that supervisor changes. So your first step is you're going to go into USPS and update it on the position screen. Then you're going to sync your positions in ESS. Then you'll go to the users and group, remove the old supervisor, and enter the new supervisor. And then those flows, that any unapproved leaves that are entered will restart over and go to the new supervisor. But if you use supervisor instead of the ESS name, what happens is, these are the steps that will be taken. You'll change the supervisor in USPS. You're going to sync the positions. You don't have to go into that group chain and change the name, because remember, it's just a blank name called supervisor. But any unapproved leaves will not be restarted. So what happens instead, the old supervisor is not going to be able to approve them. They're going to have to be canceled, and the employee is going to have to resubmit it. So if you're a bigger district and the high school principal leaves in December and you have a whole bunch of leaves out there that they didn't approve, and you put the new supervisor in and you use that approver as supervisor and not their name, all those employees are going to have to go re-enter those leaves again. So after I heard that, I was like, well, maybe it is better than just to use the ESS name. But again, that's up to you. There's that option in there. Did anybody know you could use just supervisor? Okay, I guess not. Okay, some more miscellaneous tips. This forgot password doesn't apply to us because we all have the dual authentication Active Directory. However, if your employees in your districts are not on that, this password change tip would be applicable for them. We change our password through the Password Management Center, which changes our USAS, our USPS, our ESS, our inventory. But this would be the steps your employees would take if they are not using the Active Directory and dual authentication. So I just wanted to leave that in there. And it's all right from the main page that they click forgot password. If your password's expired or if you've forgotten it, you can click forgot password on the ESS main page. Another tip, I'm not sure if you knew or not, you have the ability to notify your employees in your district that their password is going to expire in ESS. And that can all be done through the configuration. So if you could just go to system configuration, let's just jump into there and do that. You go to system configuration and password expiration configuration. You can notify them however many days before it's going to expire. And then you can set their expiration if you want their password to expire every 90 days, every year, whatever. You put how long you want them to have that current password and how soon you want them to be notified that it's going to be changing. Another informational page that we won't go over is syncing. When ESS syncs with payroll or any other system, when does it sync? What's the description? Is it related to ASOP? This is just another informational page if you were wondering. If you want to look at the sync information, you would just go to Systems, Batch Job Sync, and you would be able to see the last time those jobs ran a sync. And I will just go to batch jobs. Now, this is a test instance, so you're gonna see a lot of fails on this one because obviously the syncs aren't running on tests. But that's a way to check if your batch jobs are running or if they're failing, if there's a problem. And then there is an in-app notification versus an email notification. So if you look at my test instance, and from any page that you're on, this will appear. You see the bell with the 36? That's in-app application notifications. This will notify you of certain things within the app. And then there's other notifications that you receive via email. So this first page tells you which ones will come to you in the app. And the second page tells you which ones come to you via email. I didn't even know about the in-app. As you can see, I had 36.
When you're saying in app, there's an app on your phone?
No, it's right within the ESS application.
Okay, that's I just want to confirm that. Thank you.
Yes. And that's what I thought too. I'm like, they have an app that has notifications in it.
Yeah.
It's right here. It's just that when you log into ESS, it's that
Okay.
notification. Oh, and now we've got Melissa Crosley singing over here. You guys are lucky that you're there and not here.
I can leave.
Okay. All righty. Advantage of filling out your profile. There's actually two profiles in ESS. So let me show you that. There's this employee profile right here. And if you go down to the bottom, there's a profile right here. So the profile we're talking about for this portion is at the bottom. If you click that, this profile comes up and you can do several different things here. You can set it to dark mode if you'd rather have that. You can opt out to receive your leave emails. Or if you use the timesheet module, you can opt out for that. You can set your default start and stop times. So when you go to put in a leave, it's going to automatically default to what the hours you have set there. So if you don't have anything set there and you go to put in a day, you have to say start time, 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and every time. If you set it here, it's going to automatically fill in for you. Now, if you're only going to take a half a day, then you would have to change that. But this is where you would set that. You can leave a default telephone number if you want to have that appear on your leaves. This also lists all the roles you have. So if you're unsure, you can just click to this page quickly and you can see all the roles that you have. So that's an advantage to filling out your profile. Okay. What configurations is required to enable employees to request change to their employee record? That is on the other profile, which is up here at the top of the page. Okay. And see this right here, new data request change. So if I would see something in ESS with my information that didn't look correct, you could click that button there and enter the information correctly. Now you do have to have that enabled in your system configuration to have that button appear if you want your employees to be able to do this. So when you click that button, then the employee puts in the information that they want to change. That information will then flow to the data change manager, and it will notify them that there's changes that they want to have done. Once it's approved by that data change manager, the information will be updated. And the steps for that are right here. Again, that's a feature you can turn on and off. If you'd rather the employees just come to you and say, this is wrong, that's another way you could have them process changes.
Missy,
Yes.
question. Can you tell me where to look to see who like who that administrator would be that would get those emails?
That's that data change manager role.
Yeah.
You know what? Miss, would you see if you could tell in Claymont who has that role for me? If you could find it. Huh?
What's the roll call?
Data change manager. Melissa's gonna look that up for me, then we'll show you on the screen in my demo account where we can locate that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Because off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure. So while Melissa can poke around and find that for us in the path.
You want to know specifically who has it?
Yes, she wants to. And could you tell me the path on how everybody could locate that, Miss?
Okay.
Thank you.
Data management, right?
It's a data change manager role. Okay. Another tip is with all of us using USAS and payroll, we're used to using the start and stop dates with greater than and equal to. Then that whittles down your grid. In ESS, it doesn't work that way. In ESS, you just put the dates. If you put a start date, the system assumes it's greater than or equal to that start date you entered, or same with the stop date. So if you're putting in greater than, less than, greater than and equal to, less than and equal to, it's probably not going to work for you. Just enter your date. And again, I get confused because I do that all the time. So when you jump into ESS, you're thinking, oh, it works the same way here, but it doesn't. So, did you find it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's her former payroll, her current payroll, and whoever Tammy McMillan.
Okay. Kim, for you, it's your former payroll person, your current payroll person, and whoever Tammy is. Now let's take a look in my test instance on how we find that. Can you give me the path, Miss?
Sure. I
Okay.
went to users
She went to users.
and I added in a hamburger up in the upper right-hand corner of that grid, you can put, I selected roles
She selected roles.
and then I filtered. There's a drop down for roles and I selected the role I was looking for.
And so then you selected
Data change manager.
data change manager. And in OME-RESA, Melissa Crosley is our data change manager.
Who knew?
So that is a really nice demonstration of if you want to see who has what role, that's exactly how you go there to find that. Okay.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Another miscellaneous tip. ESS is dependent on payroll and workflows. What that means is if you're using ESS to approve your leaves, it looks back at payroll for like the supervisor. Workflows is something that runs in the background that we all don't see, but workflows is part of this integration of the systems too. So if your ESS isn't on the most current version or your payroll's not on the most current version, the flows may not all work together. This is probably not something you're ever going to have to worry about because we have our system set up that every night, if there's an updated to one of the systems, it automatically runs during the night and you come in the morning and you're on the most current version. However, if you would need to know what version you're on for whatever reason, and we would probably never ask you this because we would just go look it up ourselves. But if you would ever need to know what version of payroll, budgetary, inventory, or ESS you're on, this is the easiest way to do that. On any screen, if you go to Help and About, payroll, budgetary, inventory, all of them, if you go to Help and About, it will tell you what version you're on. So when we send out those release notes after a new version is installed during the night, it will tell you what that current version is. So if you wanted to go in and compare, hey, did that update work and am I on the current version? That's how you would do it. Again, not something you would probably ever have to worry about, but just a little tip. Okay. On PowerPoint, we're going to jump down to absence management. I'm not sure how many of you use the absence management, but if you're having any trouble with it, here's a link that they had provided so that you could click on the link, and there's some examples and troubleshooting and things like that to help you get working through that absence management issue. And on the last page, there is some resources related to ESS. Now, I know we got through that kind of quickly, but I kind of skipped over something. So if you guys don't want to talk and have any questions, we can go answer those first. If not, then I will jump into a second topic that's indirectly related to ESS. Anybody have any questions, comments? Nobody? Okay. Here's what I will bring up, and I think this is probably going to come out a little bit more at calendar year end, but we'll talk about it now so you guys have a little heads up on it. ESS and payroll are now both working together to have W-2 digital delivery. Now, what that means is the SSDT will not provide us with a way for you just to directly email your employees their W-2s. They feel that that email is too easily hacked, and they feel it's much safer if you provide them a place that they have to log in to obtain their W-2s. So that's why they have put the W-2s in ESS, which they've always been. But this delivery system is a way to ask your employees if it's okay to not receive a hard copy W-2. If they acknowledge, yes, that they will agree to receive it just in ESS, a couple things happen. There's an acknowledgement in ESS that they go in and accept. Then you have proof that they've acknowledged they're not going to get a paper copy. It will also key into payroll so that when you run your payroll W-2 reports, the totals at the bottom are going to say total number of employees, total number of W-2s, total number of physical W-2s to be printed, and total number of digital W-2s. So that you're going to have a count of actually how many hard copy W-2s you're going to need to print. So this is something that has just recently come about, and it is in both systems now. And if you go and if you have it turned on, I think is it this one or is it this one? Let me look. W-2 acknowledgement. If you decide this is a way you want to go to try and get away from printing your W-2s, you would turn it on in payroll. You would check the box in your configuration in payroll, and I can send you guys the directions to this if anybody is interested. And then you'd have to come over into ESS and check the box that you want to do that here. then your employees would come in and give you their digital signature, the date, their decision, that they're acknowledging, yes, they'll take it electronically. There's a way in ESS then, once the W-2s are showing there, that you can mass email those people in the district who have selected digital and say, hey, they're ready. So this is a newer thing that's out, and I think everybody's trying to get away from paper. And this is a pretty nice way to do that if anybody's interested in starting with that.
Missy, is that something that we have to let you know for that button to show up? Because it's not on mine.
Yeah, you probably don't have it set up on the configuration yet.
Okay, okay.
And like I said, I have directions that I can send out to all of you if you would like to review this. We will be going over this again closer to the end of the year, when Missy does her calendar year end. But
Okay.
it might even be a little more beneficial if I sent this out to everyone, not only just you that have attended today, because again, you want to give your employees time to log into ESS, to accept this. If you throw this at them December 1st, then you may have some stragglers, and then the process may not fully take effect in that short a period of time. So now that we're talking through this, I think it might be best if we sent this out to everyone and said, if you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer them. I have the directions in front of me. They are pretty good, pretty clear cut on what the steps you need to take to enable it in both systems. And again, I like the fact then that your W-2 report in payroll is going to print out, and it's going to show you how many physical W-2s do you really need to print, and how many people have elected to do the digital form. I just thought it was a nice way of breaking it down to for your auditors too, that they can know exactly who's agreed to do this.
So some of those aren't the buttons. You can't see all of them yet because we're waiting for releases.
No, I believe that this is out. Melissa just said, are we waiting for releases for this to be complete? No, I believe this is out and ready to go. I believe that if you go to, let's see here. In USPS, you have to go to System Configuration, W-2 Configuration, and edit the button and click Mark the Enable W-2 Digital Delivery. When the Enable W-2 Digital Delivery box is marked, the following will happen, blah, blah, blah. Then in ESS, go to System Configuration, W-2 Configuration, click Edit, and mark the Allowed Digital only W-2. So there's two places that it needs to be marked, payroll and ESS, and then it explains what's going to happen after you do those. So I'd be glad to share that with you. I think, like I said, I think we'll send that out sooner than later, so everybody has a chance. I don't know how everyone did it in the past. OME-RESA does not print any W-2s. Our employees get them digitally. When they get their employee packet, because this was before ESS had this nice form in here, we had a request in their employee packet, would you accept them digitally? And everybody has. So we print no W-2s, and it's really nice. So if there's anybody who's considering that, there's a system in place now with a form and everything. So I thought it was nice. Any thoughts on that? Would anybody like to go that option, not printing W-2s anymore?
I would definitely like to the instructions. Now we don't set up everybody in ESS, but it would definitely lower the amount of W-2s that we would have to print, because like coaches and stuff that aren't employees we don't put in,
Right.
or substitutes we don't put in ESS.
Those ones would be marked that they would have to get a paper copy.
Yeah, so those ones would have to get a paper copy, and that's fine. But if that cuts your W-2s down, I mean,
Right.
just say everybody in your district agreed to get it digitally. You would just be printing them for subs then, you know?
Exactly.
And that's just so much less that you know, W-2 paper and the printing and the time and the stuffing them if you don't have a folder sealer, or if you do, running them through the folder sealer. Anybody else?
I'm definitely interested.
Good, good. I believe that everybody is now trying to go paperless on everything, not just W-2s. And so I think it's probably going to come to that. Oh, and Marcy said she's interested too. Again, I think it's going to come to paperless because, let's face facts. You got to keep things secure. If a person needs their W-2 information, they can log into ESS, see what they need, and be done with it. Instead of having paper laying around, they lose them. You know, they possibly lose them. Andrea Tinlin, we're also interested. Well, yeah, I looked all this information up because they did bring it up at the at OETSA, and it looks like it's going to work really nice. There's when I send you out the instructions, you will see there's even frequently asked questions and a bunch of information. And I really like the fact that there's a way to mass send out an email to those who have elected to have it digitally, that they're ready. Then people know. You know what I mean? As soon as they're ready, you can send that out, and you don't have people, when am I getting my W-2s? You know, we'll send you an email as soon as we have it done. So I will definitely send that out. Any other questions?
Missy, I have a quick question and a comment. Like here
Okay,
at
go ahead.
Philly, we always send ours out through ESS. So like except for our subs and coaches, just like Kim was talking. So we had over 600 W-2s last year and we printed less than 200. So that did make it nice just to give.
That is awesome.
But my question is, if we have them fill out this acknowledgement, will there be a report in ESS or USPS showing us, the date and times that these people acknowledged it? Because I'm just thinking if we set this up and somebody goes in here in October and acknowledges it, when it comes February, they're going to be like, where's my W-2? And not realizing 4 months ago, they can barely remember what they did last week sometimes, let alone signing something 4 months ago. So it would be nice to have a report we could refer back to. Oh yeah, we see here you accepted that you would receive it electronically October 30th or whatever. Do you know
And
if they'll have something like that?
the employee screen, there's a timestamp field. Let me see, because I know there was a question. And one of the things in these frequently asked questions that I'm going to send out to you, should districts establish a cutoff date? I would establish a cutoff date.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be closing your books and somebody go in last minute. So yes, establish a cutoff date. Go ahead, honey.
Okay, well, I was just gonna say, well, I was playing around with this in ours while you were talking, and you have to have the configuration box checked first. But if you have that box checked for the digital, W-2 digital only, on the employee record, you would scroll all the way to the bottom and you would check the box that you want them to get that. I think you have to check the box. This is new. We haven't done it yet. But there's a field it's a timestamp field, and it looks grayed out, almost like ESS sends that information over. Does it?
I don't think this is going to work. I wanted to show that if I could, but we don't have it checked in payroll.
Well, this is their test instance.
So I don't know how much of this is really going to work, but let's just play because I can't hurt anything.
Well, do you want me to do it? You just open up the live files on a different screen and I'll go into payroll and do it, and we can tell them.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can. But let me just try this real quick. But as you can see too, consent to receive digital, revoke, because an employee can get it 1 year and say, you know what, I didn't like that. I want to go back to a paper copy, which I don't know why, because you could print it from ESS if you wanted to. But anyway. Okay, see, it's not going to light up for me. Oh wait, submit. Yeah.
Incorrect or incomplete.
Yeah. Oh, because I didn't put the A. Huh.
You have to sign your exact.
You must have to sign
correct.
exact.
Yeah. 'cause it
Okay.
says right there
Then
what it says.
then they can print the acknowledgement So let's do submit and see what happens. I might get an error because this is test, but let's see. Acknowledgement submitted successfully. Okay. Let me see if I can see it somewhere. I was hoping it was going to show me. So here. Come on. In ESS, on the left-hand side, after you click that configuration box to say, yes, we want to do this, you're going to see a District W-2 Acknowledgement tab. If you go over there and say true, you're going to see everybody in your district who is elected to do this. If I hit that download, it is giving me the acknowledgement form that I just went in and typed, and it's giving me the date that I said, do not receive a W-2 in only a, or do consent to receive a W-2 in only a digital form. So does that answer your question?
You got that form?
Uh-huh. Katie, does that?
It does, yes.
Okay,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yes. So if they go in and do that, you can get a copy of their form with the date that they said they would accept that. And as the employee, I think when I went down here, let me just see something. It already said that I had acknowledged it, but I could go down here and change it if I then later wanted to.
Where did you go to get that message?
On the left-hand side, it says District W-2 Acknowledgement.
Uh-huh. So if I go
Now
to-
you hit true for in the hit true for W-2 digital W-2 consent. And I'm the only one because obviously this is a test instance, so I'm the only one that's in there that's true. And then you can download in that very first column where I have the date and everything.
And that pops up when you log in to accept it, or do you have to go somewhere to accept it in ESS?
And I believe, and again, this is new for us. I believe, let me read again. After you check that box, for employees who wish to receive their W-2s digitally, they are required to complete the W-2 acknowledgement by performing the following. Log into ESS and click on the drop-down arrow next to their name located at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Click on Profile.
Okay.
The user profile, in the user profile, click on W-2 acknowledgement. It will display the legal notification, review. Enter your digital signature to select today's date, select consent, submit.
Okay. I'm testing it in the live files.
Okay.
For today, so maybe.
Let me,
There's a W-2, district W-2 acknowledgements to you, and you can even sort by your acknowledgement timestamp.
yeah, you can even sort by the acknowledgement timestamp too. So if you give someone a deadline and let's say they agree, and you give them a deadline of December 1st, whatever's in the system by December 1st, that's where we're going. That's what we're going with. Okay. December 2nd, they revoke it and they don't get a paper W-2. You can say, look, this was the deadline.
Okay, you can't call them, but.
So if that helps, you guys get this started, hopefully. Yes, Melissa.
I did test it.
Come on over and so everybody can hear you good.
So I tested in OME-RESA. I went into our W-2 configuration, checked the box, W-2 digital delivery only. I went over into ESS. I turned us on for W-2 acknowledgement. And that's why I was asking you where to go in the profile. Went to the profile and acknowledged it. Went back into USPS. Went to my employee screen and scrolled all the way to the bottom. It's all the way at the bottom.
and the box or digital delivery, and a timestamp is there with a date.
Yep.
So it automatically updates their employee record, by doing that. So. Just let you know.
So they work together, the systems work together. That date and timestamp in ESS flows over to payroll. So you have it in two places.
No.
Where did Melissa say it was in ESS at that confirmation? Or USPS, I'm sorry.
Oh,
The
you,
employee record.
in the employee record, she said scroll all the way to the bottom.
So you must have to have it, I was just,
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to have that, the both of them checked in both spots. Yes, you'll
I
have
was
to have
just
them
seeing
checked in both spots. Any other questions about this?
Me, you have to go here, it's a profile.
I'm kind of impressed with this. I think it is, they're trying to help us get away from paper. This was a good way to implement it. You guys. Anyway, they're yapping. Because when we implemented this, we had to go to our attorney and get a form. Something that we're giving to our employees that was legal, where they've already just put this in the system for you. So. Any other questions about this, about ESS, about any other topic? No other questions? Okay, well, I hopefully, I showed you something you didn't know. If you have any other questions about this digital delivery, please let us know. And we'll get you the answer if we don't know it. But I'll send this out to you guys right away after this meeting's over. Okay? Okay. Thank you, everyone.
See, I'm just a user. and it-
Bye. Have a good day.
Okay, so listen, stop the recording.
Stop sharing. Stop recording.